Okay, what's up internet? This is Sinus Media here. Today it's really going to be a quick one. I've got too much other stuff to do. I cannot spend an hour with you guys, much as I'd love to. So, here's what we're talking about today. We're back in Sonic Pi. We're looking again at the code I've been writing to generate chords. And this last couple of days I just added the extra feature of chord inversions. So what's a chord inversion? Let's just get back into FL Studio for a second. Here's a C major triad. I'm playing it quietly because we're going to talk over it. That's a C, E, G. If I take the bottom note and I just put it up an octave, instead of playing, I play this, it's the same chord. That's still, just like this, is a C major chord triad. That also is a C major triad. It's just that it's in what we call the first inversion. In other words, we've taken the first note, the root note, and we've put it up the octave. So now the root, the lowest note of the chord, is in fact the third degree. So instead of being C, E, G, it's E, G, C. That's all it means to do the first inversion. I've got a simple script here. Just playing that tonic chord. I'm playing an arpeggio and then I'm playing the full chord. So you can just see what it's doing there. Right, so as always, I'm interested in how we have a quick and simple notation for these things that makes sense so you can use it and it's not too hard to remember, but at the same time is not too verbose either. So I've introduced this. I'm not 100% happy with this notation yet. It's just the best I can think of. If I want to play the first chord in the first inversion, we put it in a little sub-array here. So remember, this array contains our degrees, like our first here. If we put this in here, this what as separate sub-array that's just 1 1, that means first chord, first inversion. So now look what it does. First chord normally. Right. First inversion. Right. We can also do second inversion like this. 2. So first chord, second inversion. Here we go. First inversion. Third inversion. Sorry, second inversion. Second inversion. So that's what we have here. We have now the capacity to do these inversions. Now, one kind of issue with these inversions is sometimes they make the chord high, and you don't necessarily want that. So I've also added a bit of notation so you can take them down an octave. So if we do 1 minus 1 here, right, remember when we put minus normally, that means we're going to take it, we're going to do the modal interchange. So minus 1 in a major key becomes the minor chord and vice versa. In this notation for the inversions, where we're doing the little subarray and the inversion is the second number, the minus means take it down an octave. So here it is now with the first inversion, second inversion, then first inversion down an octave. I'll just quickly do that, right? First, second, starting on the E, remember, third, and then down the octave starting on the E again. And we have the same here. In the minus 2 just means second inversion down an octave as well. So it's important to realise, in terms of our kind of normal understanding of functional harmony, these are all the same chords. These are all the tonic the tonic chord, the C major triad, tonic of the C major scale. All of these are the same chord. You can substitute any of them for any other and they should work harmonically. Sometimes we find that the chord we want to use harmonically is too much of a jump to be a sort of smooth rising, by one or two semitones. So we invert it to push it closer to some of the other chords. 1. 5. But you can see it's a big jump. Now if we were to take that second 5 and make it a 1, okay, now it's gone very high, but if we were to now make it a -1 to bring it closer, so we're still oscillating or just jumping backwards and forwards between our 1 and 5 chords here. Same harmonic progression, but we're keeping the two chords kind of closer together on the keyboard, which gives them that, well, for a lot of people find this a smoother feel and a less of an awkward jump. So it's a useful technique to have. Let's do an inverted sixth. So let's put a 6th chord in and let's have that also brought down. So you see, that 6th starts here, is here, and is here. But if you invert it, it's actually showing the same two first notes, the C and the E, as the tonic. So although we are changing our chord, and you can hear that the harmony is changing, let's just make that extra clear by taking the fifths out now. Look, these are two different chords. This is the 1 and the 6. Here's how that would sound normally. Okay, harmonically it's fine, but it is a big jump. So let's just put the 6 and put it down and put it into the first inversion and put it down an octave. And now listen. So, two notes in common, it's a much smoother movement between the two, even though we have that harmonic motion. Even though that harmonic motion is there, these really are and going backwards and forwards between the 1st and the 6th chord. It's not as big a lurch from one to the other because of that. So the code has got longer, although I don't think it's got much more complicated. The code up here for one chord is the same as before. It starts by defining all of these arrays, these sort of tables. Then at the bottom, all this stuff is exactly the same as it was before, but we added a new section here in the middle. So basically we say if the degree.class, so in Ruby everything is an object, everything has a class, and so if you think about it, when we pass this in, we're just passing an ordinary number. When we pass this as the value of deg, it's actually a little subarray, a separate array. So that's what we're testing for here. Is the thing that was passed to us as the argument deg actually, is its class actually an array? If it is, then we're going to interpret it as one of these inversion notations. Now we just do the calculation for the chord as usual. So that means that our inversions are going to work on our sevenths, they're going to work on our secondary dominants, they're going to work on our modal interchange without problem. Okay, we are still, just as in the case of the modal interchange, we are recursively calling one chord again. And if you can see this deg 0, remember that the array we're passing in has got the 0 element, the first element, element 0, is still the degree of the chord. So that's what we're going to call here. When we do our recursive call to one chord, then we're just passing it deg0, first element of that array, and we're getting back our tonic, our mode, and our chord as usual. And then we're doing this case based on our deg1, and deg1 of course is this second element of that little array. And so based on that, well, if it's 0, in fact we just return the new chord is the same as the old chord. If it's 1, then it means we're doing the first inversion. So we're going to take the first inversion, we're going to take that bottom one and just put it up the octave. So it goes from there to there, and the other two stay the same. So we literally grab, in fact this 1 to 10 basically means grab the second element onwards. We're making a new chord which is based on taking the second onwards element. I've put it up to 10 just in case we were in the future we might have some crazy chords that have 10 notes in them. I could have made that smaller, but you know, future proofing, etc. So this is more or less like saying grab the rest, everything except the first element of the chord. In other words, our chord is this, everything except this one, so those two. And then we just concatenate on the end a second little array which just contains element 0 here, add 12 to push it up an octave. So in other words, from there, sorry, let's see the piano again. From here, we took this bit and then we took that and we pushed it up an octave and we put them together and we got this. So that's it. That's all the first inversion is. If the number coming in is 2, the second inversion, same way, we're just going to do the same thing twice. So we take the first 2 notes and put them up. In fact, we can do 3 notes if we're working on sevenths here. We can do this with our sevenths, so we could put a 7-1 and a 7-6 here. First inversion of the 7th, but we could actually go all the way to a third inversion of a 7th. In other words, in this case that wouldn't necessarily be what you wanted, but it's available. So when we got 7ths, we got 4 notes in our chord. We can actually do the third inversion, meaning we've taken the first 3 of them and pushed them up an octave. I don't think that makes a lot of sense in this case. But you know, you can hear we're getting some nice and you can hear in the case of the 7th, right? It's sharing so many notes just in that first inversion. So we do have this option of that. And then in the negative cases, when it's -1, -2, -3, we're doing the same thing, but we're also then mapping across the result of that new array, taking every note and just pushing it down an octave. So we just use the map n is the value of the note each time. We take that array we've just built, we create yet another array by mapping across it and subtracting 12 from all the notes, and that's it. So that's all we've added, and it's given us an extra dimension to our chord making and our harmonies. So that's it. I think really keep it short today. That's all I want to say. Nothing beyond that. So thanks for watching. That is all today, and see you soon.